in Africa was to reduce the population. So to give aid to countries in Africa, not clean water and schooling and things like that, but contraception and abortion, in order to shrink the population of Africa, because they have great mineral resources there.
That sounds diabolical.
It is, yes.
That sounds like something conceived in the mind of Margaret Sanger.
Yeah, definitely. And so at the time, Kissinger and those involved with the Carter administration wanted to shrink the population, make sure that the Africans do not develop and do not use the resources for themselves, because we in the States, we need them. There is a concerted effort of foreign powers to control the population of Africa. Africa is a huge continent, could feed thousands more people, but the policies of the West, especially in Europe. For example, between 1990 and the year 2000, the United States, Canada, and Europe contributed about $6 billion in contraceptives, not to help the people, not to give clean water, clean food. That is
not to fight malaria, for example.
No, of course, perish the thought, never. Yeah. Let them die. That's the whole idea. So in our work in HLI, we denounced this reality to make the Africans aware that they have to defend themselves against the influence of foreign powers.
Intentionally using synthetic molecules, which by design are cancer, AIDS, all of the bogeymen we could dream up.
Yeah, it's for the purpose of sterilization and population control. There's too many people on the planet we need to get rid of. In the words of Bill Gates, at least 3 billion people need to die. So we'll just start off in Africa. We'll start doing our research there, and we'll eliminate most of the Africans because they're deplorable. They're worthless. They're not part of this world economy. So they have their rights taken away, and they're suppressed, and they're experimented.
And they deserve to get this vaccine first. And from there, you want to do tiering in various countries to make sure your most vulnerable populations get it. In our country, that would be blacks and Native Americans, blacks and Native Americans, blacks and Native Americans.
And if you are black or African American and you're listening to this, you need to know the truth about how you are being targeted for extermination. You and your children and your grandchildren and your parents. You are all being targeted for extermination. Now, to some extent, we are all being targeted in different ways because there is a depopulation agenda that wants to reduce the entire global population to about 1 billion people. But it seems, from observing the way they're doing this, they sure do want to get rid of black people first. And they're actively doing it. It's happening right now. It's right under your nose. Most people have no clue that it's going on. And the scientific community is working to exterminate you. It's the scientists. It's the pharmacology evildoers. It's the drug companies. It's the vaccine companies. It's the abortion providers.
Most of you should have heard about this by now. Two French doctors during a TV debate were discussing testing coronavirus vaccines on people in Africa. One of the doctors, Jean-Paul Mira, said they should do the study in Africa since there are no masks, no treatments, no resuscitation, just like as it is done elsewhere for some studies on AIDS. With over 1.2 million confirmed cases worldwide at the time of this recording, the African continent currently has the least cases of coronavirus in the world, 8,701, with the majority of the cases being in South Africa. So it seems asinine to recommend testing a vaccine in Africa when the majority of the cases are in Europe, Asia, and North America. It would make more sense to leave Africa alone. Test the vaccine on healthy people in their country. If they believe in their vaccine so much, why don't the doctors test it out on themselves since they're going to be face to face with infected people on a daily basis, instead of using African people as their guinea pigs? Letters with Cymer's official letterhead were found suggesting that the CIA and British intelligence had involvement in the mass genocide. Alexander Jones confirmed on camera that Cymer had operated with the support of the CIA and British intelligence, used bogus vaccinations to spread HIV virus in the SADC region. He says we were at war, black people in South Africa were the enemy. He confessed that he and his Cymer colleagues spread the virus in the 80s and 90s under the command of their leader, Keith Maxwell. I'm going to play a few clips of this interview so you can see how important it is that we don't fall for these tactics again.
And he was experimenting on black people.
He was running a number of clinics in the black townships.
Yes.
Pretending to be a medical doctor. Offering medical assistance to black people at a very low cost. And people we talked to tells us about how he was experimenting on black people. In the Congo, Maxwell ends up at a secret jungle laboratory funded and operated by the US Army. Here, research is being done into biological warfare and how to weaponize viruses. So, simply put, what is CIMAR?
CIMAR was a clandestine mercenary organization for hire.
Financed by whom?
Financed by foreign governments. Well, it was clandestine operations. We were involved in coups, taking over countries for other leaders. We were involved in Mozambique, spreading the AIDS virus through medical conditions. One of the things was that we went into African countries.
And how was that done exactly?
Through inoculation.
Through vaccines?
Yeah, through vaccines. Pretending to inoculate people and that type of thing.
The idea being to kill black people?
Yeah, to eradicate black people. You must understand the concept was that AIDS was a killer. It was incurable at that point in time. So it was led to believe that if you infected people, it was the quick, non-militaristic approach to eliminate black people.
And that is something you know for a fact, that AIDS was actively being spread to other countries?
Yes, to African countries. We were at war. Black people in South Africa were the enemy.
But so it was about white supremacy?
Definitely. Definitely trying to retain the white supremacy on the African continent.
And furthermore, he tells us that the purpose of Maxwell's clinics in and around Johannesburg was to infect black people with HIV.
These were research facilities for them to inject people with a solution to see that they prevented AIDS in it. In the meantime, they were injecting people with AIDS.
And he was only working on black people in these clinics?
Yes, yeah.
For almost nothing?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you know what, I mean, what easier way to get a big guinea pig that you live in the apartheid system, black people have got no rights, they need medical treatment, there's a white philanthropist coming in and say, you know what, I'll open up these clinics and I will treat you, I will do this, and meantime you actually the wolf in sheep's clothing.
That's gruesome.
We may be poor, but we are not stupid. We can read when they write on the vaccine that this is not for distribution in the United States, and this cannot be used in the European Union. This injection cannot, this vaccine cannot be used in Europe. They're even telling you that this is not for us, because they've got some other substandard stuff that they make for us. How do you know the injection that was given to President Biden is the same vaccine that is coming here? You didn't check it when they put it on him. You have not compared that vaccine to the vaccine you have received. You can watch it on CNN and say, even President Biden got a dosage of it. Are you sure? Did you see it? Did you get the drop and analyze it, that it's the same drop getting into an African's body? I think that we need to be more responsible. And our salvation outside God will be by responsible governments on the continent of Africa. Corrupt governments, those who are just looking for money from the West, are going to kill their people like fools. We shall die like fools if we have a government which is corrupt and is only waiting to be given money by the international community. We should never accept everything that comes to us without verifying it ourselves. So I shall not debate myself our reservations on the privileged information that we hold about the coming vaccine, I think I shall leave that out. I shall not deal with it. Suffice to say that I would not inject it into my body, my children's, or those I love who happen to be all Zambians. This position can only change if it is established by ourselves that the vaccine is safe.